Now let's get to this supposed horrible White House incident. Here we see the map. On June 1st, the White House was under a domestic terrorist attack set in place by the deep state. What I'm about to show you was not widely circulated by the deep state media because it explains and justifies the defense of the White House. That the media wants you to think that there was no threat to the White House. There was. They want you to think it was an attack on poor, defenseless, innocent, peaceful little protesters. It was not. The actual facts ruin that narrative they spent 4 years planning.
Last week, we released video of New York Antifa-like group Refuse Fa, short for Refuse Fascism, training people how to poke people's eyes out and reframing assault as self-defense.
Yeah, so if that doesn't knock them out, then yeah, the nose, the face, the eyes, poke the eyes with the other.
We unmask undercover footage of their national organizer, the national organizer for Refuse Fascism, and we release footage that suggests who might even be funding their militant operation.
The ultimate vision is for people to break with their comfort and come into the streets day after day, night after night, in the hundreds of thousands until the millions, and not leave until they have to step down. And the way we see this is that there is going to be a need for thousands of people and then millions to come into the streets and demand that the Trump-Pence regime must go. We did apply for a grant from Soros at one point, just a long time ago. We actually did get a grant from them. Contributing money is a huge, look, we are not going to reach millions without millions. That's just straight up. We are not going to do it. We need millions of dollars to reach millions of people.
We're trying to meet with Tom Steyer. I took the meeting today. We were meeting with his main advisor on impeachment. We've been talking to his assistant. He first said he was going to meet, then he got busy. Tom Steyer's been retweeting some of our stuff. His money's not part of the 80,000, but he's donated over 50,000. We have other people who donated 10,000. This $15,000, what I've learned on this tour is we should have 3 of these tours going out to campuses right now. Foundation is the main organization that fights for internet privacy, net neutrality. It's a major organization. I met with them. They're going to help us get connected. And you'll see there's people, Hillary campaign people work with Refuse Fascism, because they... Just imagine if, let's put millions aside for a second, that there was 10 to 50,000 people demonstrating in those 5 cities, which if that number of people who were protesting, at first maybe every week and then every 3 days and then every other day, where people were coming after work and the streets were flooded every night from 5 o'clock till 1 o'clock in the morning, and there was probably among younger people there'd be a few thousand who stayed overnight. And this was happening in Los Angeles, San Francisco, New York, but that still is a very disruptive force. That has international repercussions.
From Salt Lake City, Utah. My group is Insurgents USA. We fucking about to burn this shit down. Fuck this shit. Our group. We out there strapped. We out there ready to burn that shit down. We got fucking rip Trump out of that office right over there. Fucking pull him out that shit. Nah, we ain't about fucking waiting until the next election. We about to go get that motherfucker. I ain't about that shit. Cause you know what time it is? I want y'all to be after me. It's time for a revolution. It's time for a revolution.
This attack raged on all night. The rioters did not go home at midnight. They didn't let up at 3 a.m. As the angry, violent mob advanced, Secret Service could not hold their line and were pushed back. As they swarmed the perimeter, they nearly breached the Secret Service, closely leaving the White House open to a complete attack. They almost the entire night tried to swarm and invade the White House grounds, trying to burn it down. If you think these people were not trying to burn down the White House, you got another thing coming. They were. Here's some more.
No, we better get the ball.
They had baseball bats, accelerants, bricks, weapons, and a mission. Fireworks. They were relentless. They advanced so far in large numbers, the Secret Service had to follow an emergency directive to secure the president. When they do that, that means that there is a threat, very real, that the president and the White House is in danger. They don't just do that. They don't just get their sniper night vision out because there's some little protesters outside making a ruckus. The White House went dark. You were asleep. You didn't see it. You weren't there. I wasn't there. But I was watching. More closely than you can imagine. I was watching a war go down. Live. They did not air any of this in the media. It was midnight in California and I was terrified. I couldn't sleep. I was shaking all night on the verge of tears, searching and waiting for any news, thinking that the interior White House lawn was about to be breached any moment, dreading every time I refreshed a live stream of videos and photos. The writers themselves were tweeting and streaming and uploading proudly, bragging about their accomplishments. I was following them. I was watching them, and they were uploading a lot of stuff. Thinking I was about to see the footage of the White House front door on fire. I went to sleep at 4 a.m., trembling, not knowing what happened or what I would wake up to. That night, I had nightmares. To clarify for the morons, the president was not hiding. They did not turn off the lights so no one would think he was home. They were forced to go into defense mode, which requires all lights to be cut for night vision, sniper sights, and tactical advantage. They were so close to breaching, they had to go to night vision, just like in a war zone. I learned this 8 years ago watching Secret Service documentaries when I started keeping a closer eye on Obama. Secret Service Dan Bongino confirms this in a video I found days after I had already filmed this. Watching this in the middle of the night, I knew immediately shit was serious.
Tough guy. Donald Trump taking shelter in the White House bunker during protests has Twitter in disbelief. News18.com. Ladies and gentlemen, having spent 12 years of my life in a professional role with the United States Secret Service, the president doesn't make the call to go to the bunker. The Secret Service does. The president didn't waltz into the bunker because the president of the United States was scared. The president of the United States was evacuated into the bunker because the Secret Service has to keep the one man who occupies the one branch of our government occupied by one person. The Congress is 535 people. The Supreme Court is 9. The presidency of the United States is occupied by one man. He must stay alive and safe no matter what. The Secret Service is not interested in any of your political nonsense or your media messaging. The media is doing this to politically damage President Trump in a time of national crisis to make him look weak, not to tell you the truth. The president doesn't decide to go to the bunker. By the way, I'm not even sure the story's true. I'm simply suggesting you, even if it is, it's not his call. It's the Secret Service, and thank God they make that call. What do you want him to do? Wait for the place to burn down? Another false media narrative. There's no story for this. I saw it on Twitter, trending all over. So story number 1 was he's hiding in the bunker. He's not hiding from anything. That's false. The second story is the lights went out at the White House. They are out. The lights are out, some of them at the White House at night. And some of these media morons, the president's scared. They shut the lights out. I've never seen this. Look at this, hiding in the darkness. The president's not hiding in the darkness. And let me be crystal clear in case you're under any, again, strategic miscalculation that you're going to storm the White House. The Secret Service owns the darkness. They own it. That's why the lights are out. If you don't know what I mean, don't try to figure it out the hard way. Those lights are out for a reason. Don't make it worse and try to find out why. Big mistake. Consider that my public service announcement.
This was no mother effing peaceful protest. My ass. This was a collective potential attempt on the president's life. Make no mistake. If they did reach the interior lawn, snipers and Secret Service would be forced to fire on American citizens who were warned many, many times to disperse and desist. And let me be clear, this is what the deep state wants. This is what the pandemic was supposed to accomplish. They want someone to get over the walls, be taken out, because then the headlines can say, Trump kills his own citizens. He's an evil dictator. Trump is Hitler. They've been gearing it up for you for years. If something like that were to happen suddenly, you would never believe it. And that's why they had to spend the last 4 years pushing that Trump is a white supremacist, tricking you into thinking that all Trump supporters are Nazi. Do I look like a Nazi? I'm sorry, I have a lot of attitude because I'm very angry about how much they lie and make this man look terrible, and he's not. So when they enacted the final part of the plan, you would believe it. When dawn broke and they finally let up a bit, the Secret Service decided to extend the perimeter in order to prevent it from happening again and potential breach of the White House grounds. Obviously. But they were still there, the protesters were still there, and close enough to throw a full frozen water bottle at the Attorney General. Is that okay? Is that okay with you? Trump was scheduled to give a speech soon, but seeing how the protesters were still so close that the Attorney General was almost hit, or he was hit, I don't know if he was hit. The Attorney General told the secret police to push the perimeter back now before the president came out, so that he was not in danger. And that's where the second part of their lies come in. Dan Bongino was Hillary Clinton's Secret Service. He has real first-hand information. Right before the president announced he was going to federalize the National Guard, he released this warning.
I understand the anxiety. People want the military mobilized domestically. Ladies and gentlemen, that's an enormous, catastrophic, strategic mistake. Now, under the Insurrection Act, we can do that. We should not. Political leaders have to stand up and let the police do the crowd control they know how to do before it turns into riot control in a triage situation. With the National Guard in a support role, the U.S. military on our streets, this is a trap. Please take to heart what I'm telling you. Some, not all, of these liberal political leaders do not have your best interests in mind. This has become about politics for them. There's nothing they would like to see more than our military be in their front lines, abdicating the role of the police departments they represent so they can pass off the responsibility for an incident onto President Trump and take it off them. That is a strategic, catastrophic mistake of the highest order. I'm not kidding. This is a trap. Don't fall into it.
They came close to totally breaching the White House lawn. Trump had no choice but to announce the next day he would be federalizing the National Guard. Shit was getting out of hand. He had to handle it. That's it. They forced him. They forced the hand. It was a plan. That's why it was so calculated all over the place. It was no accident. The deep state got their way. They were now going to be able to smear Trump and accuse him of acts of violence against an unsuspecting public, just as Dan warned a few hours ago. Just like all of the QAnon followers knew that they would do. When he announced it, my heart sank. I knew how many other patriots felt it. I saw what fellow awakened people were saying. Had we lost? Some were saying yes, but the answer is no, not yet. We will fight against the deep state with truth and videos like this until the day we die or until they silence us. No, until they kill us. They wasted no time. They immediately seized their first opportunity by weaponizing the White House defense as a violent act on innocent civilians. It's easy to sway public opinion when you only give less than half of a story. This is what they do. They accuse the president of tear gassing sweet, innocent, harmless protesters, all for a photo op. Nothing could be further from the truth, since Secret Service had already had orders in the very early morning to extend the perimeter to prevent another breach that night. Even if the president stayed inside, they still would have had to clear the area. Fucking duh. Obviously. This is so incredibly obvious, I was shocked I even had to say it. Trump announced a curfew 7 p.m., which had passed, which the crowd defied. Once again, these people were not leaving. The threat to the White House remained as long as they were there. Another thing you might not know, Trump's speech was supposed to be at 6:15. I sat there waiting, everybody sat there waiting for 45 minutes. Trump didn't come on in time because they had to clear the area because he was about to give a speech in the Rose Garden. The Rose Garden, okay? He had to wait for it to be safe before he could come out to give his speech. So his speech was 45 minutes late. You probably wouldn't know that because you probably don't watch his speeches, but you should. Really. To clear the area, they first gave everyone warning on a loudspeaker repeatedly for about 30 minutes, probably more.
A citywide curfew is in effect. 7 p.m. tonight until 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. You are currently in violation of the mayor's curfew. If you remain on public space, you will be subject to arrest. This is your third warning. A mayor's curfew is in effect starting at 1900 hours.
Yeah, 1900 hours. Yeah, now it's 7 o'clock. Now it's 7 o'clock. Oh, okay. What, you think you're tough? Trying to get us out of here already? With your fucking shield?
A mayor's command is in effect starting at 1900 hours. If you remain on public space after 1900 hours, you will be violated her curfew.
You trying to silence me?
At that time, you will be subject to arrest.
Yeah.
Once again, these people were not leaving.
Mayor has implemented a curfew. If you remain on public space after 1900 hours, you will be violating that curfew. 7 o'clock tonight, Mayor has implemented a curfew. If you remain on public space after 7 o'clock tonight, you will be in violation of that curfew and will be subject to arrest.
Go get your card. Think about that one, you fucking dumbass. Go fuck yourself. Go rot in hell. All of you.
I saw another video version of this guy by the Associated Press, and they cut out all of the audio. I wonder why. Shocker. They deployed smoke canisters and pepper balls and some flashbangs to startle and get results, because these people were not leaving. These were probably the same people who were just trying to attack the White House hours before. You think they were just going to go home? Asking nicely did not work. The so-called protesters forced the police to take whatever actions they did. Actions that were completely justified, necessary. Do you really think these weren't the same people who were viciously, unrelentingly attacking the White House just hours before? They attacked AG Barr just an hour before. You think the attackers just suddenly left? Forever? And went home? No way in hell. They only ceased because it was daylight and they could easily be identified. You can bet they refused to leave because they were waiting for the cover of darkness to continue their assault. It was 7 p.m. It was about to get dark. They needed to be cleared. The sun was about to set. The police could not take that chance. They had to secure the White House. The media tried to make you think that these people had no warning, that it was just totally unjustified, that they were sweet, innocent babies with only the best intentions. Yeah, right. It makes me sick to my stomach. I had no idea why suddenly 6 people had asked me if Trump attacked peaceful civilians. After watching him, thinking that he was going to be attacked and the White House was going to be burnt to a crisp when I woke up in the morning. And they're asking me if Trump attacked innocent people. Like, are you crazy? Then, of course, I was like, oh, they're listening to the media. That's why they think something totally crazy that didn't happen, that's not even close to how anything actually happened. It made me sick and it made me want to cry. It's disgusting. Elizabeth Warren, without any facts whatsoever, immediately tried to call for an investigation into walking the grounds, hoping for another impeachment. Yes, really. These people aren't hiding their agenda at all anymore. It is not because they hate him. It's not because they think he's a bad, terrible person or even a bad president. It's because he is in control and they are not. And what do they want? Power. Building power. He's in their way. I was stunned, in shock, and in total disbelief at how badly the media had twisted what happened. Honestly, I felt like throwing up half the day, and I kind of want to cry right now just thinking about it, because I was so scared that night. I couldn't stop shaking. I was freaking out. I thought, how is this possible? How am I the only one who knows what happened and how close they came to burning down the White House and assassinating maybe our president? They wouldn't have got that far, but they were trying, and they got close. How can anyone else not know? Then I remembered at the time it took place, everyone must have been asleep because it was in the middle of the night. And how I saw it was only because I had tracked down and lightly infiltrated the rioters and protesters' information streams myself. I ended up, because I am curious, I like to know things all the time. I ended up trying to explain to all of these people who asked me about it. I'm not sure any of them understood or believed me. Ergo, I had to take out half of this original video, and talk about this instead. Thankfully, when I turned on the news, I saw one person who validated all the dread that I was feeling the night before.
I know if President Barack Obama had cleared a block of Tea Party protesters who just set fire to a church a block from the White House the night before and held the Bible up, the mainstream media would have canceled the election and crowned him king. The media is sour now because they were forced to shoot a photo op of the President of the United States demonstrating that he's not going to be intimidated by criminals. It was a very powerful moment for the country, and they're bitter that they had to film it because it deals a big blow to their lawless side. You're saying these were peaceful protesters? You mean the same protesters that lit the church on fire the last night? The same protesters that smashed all these windows all over Washington? The same protesters that threw a bottle at the Attorney General an hour before? Dana mentioned the Park Police Commission just came out. He said they found stashed baseball bats and glass bottles. And they warned them 3 times to disperse because curfew was just around the corner. They didn't. They continued to throw bottles. So they threw some smoke bombs out and pushed them back. Wow. Armageddon, really? This is what we're talking about. This is a church next to the White House. It needs to be protected. It's sacred ground. If the people hadn't been pushed back 1 block, they would have been throwing bottles at the President of the United States. Is that what everybody wants? You trust this mob, Juan? You trust this mob that's burned the whole country down, that's looted the whole country, that a night before set fire to a church? You trust them to be within a block of the President? I don't. I don't trust these people at all at this point. They've shown no ability to be trusted at this point. Killing cops now. Punching people in the face for no reason. They're trying to protest violence against an innocent man, and yet they're committing violence on innocent men and women. It's disgusting. This country's had enough of it, and this fake scandal is just another frame job of the president, while the rest of the country agrees with everything he did.
Now, I went to sleep crying, in terror, not exaggerating, because I knew who was really behind this and why, unlike the general population. I knew it was an insurrection disguised as social justice. I woke up to a lie, a Twilight Zone zombie world, and all of my friends and family were infected. It was freaking terrifying. I felt like I was in The Walking Dead. I was livid. And Jesse took the words right out of my mouth, and I was so relieved that I was not the only one and I was not alone. You have no idea.
Jesse gets it. What I was watching, what I was looking at, I thought I would never see that in my lifetime. And when the White House went dark, we had no idea if they would be breached or not. I was crying. I was freaking out. I wanted to be there. I didn't know what happened. I never want to see anything like that happen again. Not even close. Not even close. So the next day when the Secret Service cleared the area, I felt relieved. The next day when I saw Trump come out and give that speech, you know what my first thought was? Good, he's still alive. Oh, good, the White House is still there. Even if they didn't get to him, I thought they would. I thought that the Rose Garden would be burnt to ashes. That's how close they were. And it pisses me off that the next day people are out there saying that he's the one trying to hurt people. Are you your capital, your country, your White House, your leader was almost on fire. Have you seen Olympus Fallen? Do you want to see the White House burn down? Really? What's wrong with you people? You'd be feeling, if you saw what I saw, you would be feeling the same way. But you don't. You didn't see it. You were asleep. That's cool. But then you read the media and then you just attack. You just think that you know everything and you just attack. You have no idea what happened. And I don't care that you didn't go and look and try to find out what happened, but I'm mad because you believe the headlines. You just automatically believe them. Just always. Just so brave. They have so much control over you and you don't know it. So that's why I had to say something about the media, because they are dangerous. If your house was on fire and the media told you, don't worry about it, it's okay, maybe you would believe them. Like, how much power do these people really have? If the White House is under attack and the next day the citizens are thinking that the president is the one attacking people, how much power? That means they've got a shit ton of power. They have power over you to make you think something that was incredibly important that wasn't true. And completely left out the whole part about the attack on the White House. They said, oh yeah, there are some rioters and it got crazy. No. Look at the footage. Here's some.
I have sources that have spoken to me about what happened at the White House last weekend. Make no mistake, I mean, that was essentially a coup attempt at the White House. There were known, previously identified Antifa members engaging in very sophisticated attack tactics that luckily the Secret Service and the other law enforcement entities there were able to overcome. It was not a ragtag bunch of criminals that just randomly showed up there. So that anyone telling you that is just simply lying to you.
They lit the guardhouse on fire at the White House, and now the police are deploying tear gas.
That's the White House guardhouse. They lit the guardhouse on fire. Where the guards are. Do you know what that means? No? So when Trump walked over to this little church, it's literally right on the White House lawn. So it's not like he just got in his car, gassed a bunch of people at a random place so he could go visit some random place. He was taking a walk in his backyard. It was right there. Look at it. It's right there. He was walking in his own backyard there. Okay? So it's not like he went crazy, and these people needed to be moved anyway. So wait, you didn't want them to be moved? You wanted them to burn more trees and burn more things on fire? So you wanted them to burn down the church. You wanted them to deface more statues. You wanted them to burn the trees. You wanted them to burn the White House. That's what you're telling me? Because if you don't support President Trump and the White House and the Secret Service expanding that perimeter, what you're saying is that you wanted the White House to be on fire. You wanted the guardhouse to be on fire. You wanted that church to burn down again, because do you think they weren't going to go back and try to do it again and inflict even more damage on it a second time and try to get some other things? No, this was an all-night attack assault. They wanted round two. Trump said no. And if you are against the President of the United States defending the White House, there is something wrong with you.
We actually do have an ideological frame. Myself and Alicia in particular are trained organizers. We are trained Marxists. We are super versed on sort of ideological theories.
He's controlled like a puppet, so it's not going to be calm things down. It's going to be they will have won. They will have taken over your cities. It's a revolution. You understand that. It's a revolution.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country, and maybe there will be.
People need to start taking to the streets. This is a dictator.
You know, there needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
Enemies of the state.
Show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
When they go low, we kick.
The biggest terror threat in this country is white men, most of them radicalized to the right.
I'd like to punch him in the face. I said if we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him.
Punch some people in the face!
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump, and that's a fact.
Look as his character is stabbed to death. I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
A Missouri state senator is under investigation by the Secret Service after saying she hopes President Trump is assassinated.
I will go and take Trump out tonight.
And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
And sadly, the domestic enemies to our voting system and our honoring our Constitution are right at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
They're not going to stop before Election Day in November, and they're not going to stop after Election Day. And that should be, everyone should take note of that on both levels, that this isn't, they're not going to let up, and they should not.
If you think we're rallying now, you ain't seen nothing yet.
Joe Biden believes that we need to reform the system, and I couldn't agree with him more.
And Biden, well, Biden is, I don't even like to mention Biden because he's not controlling anything.
Who do you think is pulling Biden's strings? Is it former Obama
people
officials?
That you've never heard of, people that are in the dark shadows, people that
What does that mean? That sounds like conspiracy theory, dark shadows.
No,
what is
people that you haven't heard of.
I do actually, George. You know, when I look at these marches, people who seemingly have nothing in common are marching together shoulder to shoulder, speaking about what is our collective desire to achieve the ideals of our country, including
play this clip again, and I want you to pay attention to how happy she is, how proud she is, how sure and confident she is that they are not going to stop. Why is she so sure? How does she know? It's because her and the other members of the Democracy Alliance put this all into motion years ago at their meetings. They own Black Lives Matter. They bought them. They control them. They control all of this.
They're not going to stop. They're not going to stop. And they're not, this is a movement, I'm telling you. They're not going to stop. And everyone beware, because they're not going to stop. They're not going to stop before Election Day in November, and they're not going to stop after Election Day. And that should be, everyone should take note of that on both levels, that this isn't, they're not going to let up, and they should not. and we should not.
What did you see in D.C.? What was it like to
Yeah.
march in those protests?
You know, it was, I'll tell you, one of the things, Stephen, that I saw that gives me such hope, people who seemingly have nothing in common, but these protests, I think, are the catalyst to getting there. Guys, this is not just a moment, it is a movement. It is a movement that is fueled.
It has to be sustained in order to maintain the pressure. And how important is it for these protests to continue?
It's critically important. And I made a decision to become a prosecutor. It was a conscious decision, which was to go inside the system and have some leverage there to effectuate change. The only way we're going to truly achieve change is when there are people in the system who are willing or pushing to do it, and when there are those folks who are outside of the system demanding it. For Black Lives Matter. And the intensity and the brilliance of that movement, that these movements provide a counterforce to get us to where we need to be.
Truly matters is not which party controls our government, but whether our government is controlled by the people.
Using tear gas and flash grenades in order to stage a photo op. A photo op.
Wrong.